So let's recap some of the most important Scrum terms that you should remember. Remember the ceremonies, there's 4 of them. So there's a sprint planning meeting. What is the sprint planning meeting about? It is the team meets with the product owner to confirm priorities and to discuss the items in more detail and then break the work down into tasks, right? It happens the first day of the sprint. We have our daily Scrum. That is the stand-up meeting. It is only for 15 minutes. The whole team engages in the stand-up to find out, what did I work on yesterday? What am I working on today? And what is slowing me down or obstructing my path, right? So that's the daily Scrum. It's all about visibility. The third ceremony is the sprint review, sometimes referred to as the demo. The sprint review is where we show what we actually got done, whether it's software or whether it's anything. I've had teams that were operating on back-end software, so it was migrating data from one area to the other. And in the demo, they pretty much just showed that. They said, look, I'm running a SQL script over here to pull this data. I dropped this file somewhere, and the automated process loaded it in the other database, and they were able to show that. So the review is just to show and demonstrate anything that actually gotten done. The final ceremony is the retrospective, and it's probably one of the most important ceremonies and meetings that you do not want to miss out on. And that is where the team is allowed to inspect and adapt the process. They're able to reflect and say, how are we doing? Are we doing well? Do we need to improve our process? How about our team dynamics? And there are, again, lots of games and lots of options for what you can do with the retrospective. Another term is related to the artifacts. Remember, there are 3 different Scrum artifacts. One of them is called the product backlog. The product backlog is the prioritized list of requirements. This is where the product owner adds to the backlog anything that they want. As a matter of fact, anyone in the team or the stakeholders can all add items to the backlog, but they should go through the product owner for prioritization in terms of if it should get done or not, and where does it really go in the backlog. So we always say that the product owner is the gatekeeper for the backlog. The other artifact we talked about is the sprint backlog. Don't get them confused. The product backlog is everything that needs to be there for the whole release. The sprint backlog is which stories, which items need to get done within this sprint, and how are we going to break them down into tasks. So the stories and the tasks that are in that specific sprint is what makes up the sprint backlog. The Burndown charts are 2 versions of them. The one that you saw previously is the release burndown chart, where we're looking from iteration to iteration to iteration, or sprint to sprint to sprint. And as you can tell, the word iteration and sprint are interchangeable. But we're going from sprint to another to say, how many points did we actually get done? And every time we get points done, we burn down our chart. The other one is an iteration level or a sprint level burn down chart. And that's a little bit different. It's burning down how many stories every day did we actually get done. Some people burn this down by hours. So they look at all the tasks that are there for the sprint, and every day they say, well, how many more hours do we have remaining? So maybe we first started with 75 hours. Oh, we actually went up. We now have 100 hours of work that we need to get done. Oh, now we're down to 90 hours, 80 hours, 70 hours. So it's a basically remaining hour burn down. Now, I will tell you that a lot of teams have moved away from looking at hours and even burning down hours. Some teams now like to burn down points, which means every day the question is, do we get any stories done? If we've gotten any stories done, then we can burn down our sprint burn down chart.